Before the sun is fully up over the rooftops, someone fills a kettle and sets it carefully over a small brazier of glowing charcoal. A polished silver tray appears on the low table, 6 small decorated glasses lined up neatly like waiting guests. Fresh mint, sprigs still damp from the early morning market, gets rinsed thoroughly and pressed gently into a waiting teapot. A cone of hard white sugar sits wrapped in blue paper on the tray, waiting for someone to break off a piece. The kettle begins to hiss softly, a small familiar sound in this house that means someone is about to arrive. In this home, and in almost every home nearby, the tea ritual quietly starts long before anyone actually asks for it. A knock at the door, and the tray is already halfway to the table before a single greeting is even finished. No one ever asks a guest whether they want tea here. The glasses are already being filled by the time they sit. The teapot itself is heavy, dented in a few places, polished bright from decades of careful daily use. Steam curls upward from the spout, carrying the warm smell of green tea leaves and freshly crushed spearmint. A small stream of amber liquid arcs gracefully through the air, landing perfectly inside a narrow decorated glass.
This is an ordinary Tuesday morning in Morocco, and somehow it still looks a little like a small, quiet ceremony.
Here, tea is never really about the tea itself. It's a whole unspoken language built entirely around welcome. Refuse a glass in some homes, and you haven't just declined a simple drink, you've quietly closed a small door. Watch closely, and you'll notice the teapot never stays resting near the table for very long at all. It rises. The host lifts the pot high above the waiting glass, sometimes even higher than a grown person's head. A thin, steady golden stream falls from that height without spilling a single visible drop onto the tray. Pour low and lazy, and it can quietly read as indifference. Pour high, and it clearly reads as honor.
The height isn't just showing off for guests. It's aerating the tea, building a pale, delicate foam right on top.
That foam has a name entirely of its own, and Moroccans generally consider a glass of tea without it unfinished. One glass is never considered enough here. Tradition calls firmly for 3, all poured from the very same pot. Each of the 3 rounds tastes noticeably different, brewed a little longer and a little stronger with every pour. Leaving right after the first glass is considered rushed, almost impolite in many traditional Moroccan households. Guests are gently expected to stay for all 3 rounds, however long that quiet ritual ends up taking. A shopkeeper might close his entire stall just for it. A meeting might pause completely just to make room for it. This one single drink has settled arguments, sealed business deals, and warmly welcomed total strangers inside countless homes. So how exactly did a leaf from the other side of the world become this deeply central to home? Long before tea ever existed here, Moroccans already had their own ritual drink, infusions of wild mint and wormwood. Tea itself is not native to Morocco at all. In fact, it traveled here from far across the world. The story most often told begins in the 1850s, with a shipping route somewhere in Europe suddenly closing. Merchants who could no longer sell their surplus green tea there needed to find a new port, and fast. They sailed south instead, toward the Moroccan port cities of Tangier and Essaouira. Their ship holds still completely full. Rolled into small, tight little pellets, the green tea leaves resembled tiny grains of gunpowder, and that name simply stuck. Moroccans, already fond of their own herbal infusions, tried these new imported leaves and found something worth genuinely keeping. They added their own local spearmint, already growing in gardens all across the country, and a whole new tradition was born. Within just a few decades, this imported leaf had become something people considered thoroughly, unmistakably their very own. The teapot itself carries a name, the bered, usually crafted from brass or silver, hand-engraved with looping patterns. The tray resting beneath it is called a siniya, and the small decorated glasses are known as kisan. Patterns pressed into the metal echo, the arches of doorways and windows found all across Moroccan architecture.
A good, well-made tea set can be passed down across generations, its surface worn gently soft by years of handling.
Pouring from that height without ever spilling takes years of quiet, patient practice, usually starting back in early childhood. Children in tea-making households often practice for years with plain water long before they're finally trusted with real tea.
The technique becomes almost automatic over time. Wrist steady, eyes fixed on the glass, pot rising and falling smoothly.
The pale foam that forms on top is called ruhwa, and it signals clearly that the tea was poured with real skill.
A glass poured without any foam is sometimes politely sent back, a gentle signal to simply try again.
The 3 pours each carry their own distinct idea, passed down more as feeling than as any formal written rule. The first pour is strong and a little sharp, waking up the senses right at the start of a visit.
The second pour softens noticeably, sweetness and mint settling gradually into balance as the conversation slowly deepens.
The third and final pour is the gentlest of all, a quiet signal that the visit is nearing its close. Sugar is never treated as an afterthought here. It arrives as a hard cone, carefully wrapped and sealed shut. Someone breaks small pieces from that cone using a little hammer, judging the right amount purely by feel alone.
In many households, whoever happens to be most senior present is the one who carefully prepares and pours the tea.
That particular role carries quiet weight within the family. To make the tea well is, in a real sense, to host well.
During larger gatherings, the tea maker often keeps pouring for hours on end, refilling the very same pot again and again.
In desert regions further south, tea sometimes brews far longer over an open flame, coming out even stronger and smokier. In coastal cities along the shore, the same ritual might use finer glassware and a noticeably lighter hand with the leaves. During the fasting month, the very first thing broken at sunset each evening is often a warm, welcome glass of tea. Markets across the country sell whole crowded stalls of nothing but tea leaves, fresh mint bundles, and hard sugar cones. Vendors will happily tell you which mint bundle is freshest that particular morning, the way others describe fine seasonal produce.
Tea here has quietly settled business deals between strangers who had genuinely never met before sharing that one pot.
It has also quietly eased plenty of arguments, because it's hard to stay upset while someone keeps warmly refilling your glass. Even a simple visit to ask a small favor usually begins with 3 unhurried glasses first, and only then the actual business. Across the wider region nearby, from Algeria to Mauritania and beyond, close cousins of this very same ritual quietly exist. Step into a modern Moroccan cafe today, and you'll still find the very same 3-glass ritual, only slightly updated.
Some younger hosts now quietly use less sugar, following newer conversations about health without ever abandoning the tradition itself. Tea bags exist and are sometimes used purely for speed, though many households still firmly insist on loose leaves only.
Older relatives will often say, half joking, that a tea bag can never truly replace a properly brewed, hand-poured pot. Moroccan mint tea has traveled well beyond its original home, quietly appearing on menus in cities far, far away. Cafes abroad now proudly advertise Moroccan mint tea as a specialty item, though it's rarely ever poured from real height. Moroccans living outside the country often still keep a bered somewhere in their kitchen, no matter how far they've moved. For many people far from home, the simple sound of tea being poured is the sound of home itself.
Tourists visiting Morocco today are frequently invited in for tea by shopkeepers purely as a small gesture of welcome.
Learning to graciously accept that tea and to stay through all 3 glasses has become its own small travel lesson. Some families now hand out small, modern teapots as wedding gifts, deliberately passing the whole ritual forward to the next generation. Tea has even quietly become a gesture of goodwill in formal settings, offered first at meetings before any real talk begins.
Despite all the visible change happening around it, the basic shape of the ritual has barely moved in over a century. The pot still rises high above the glass. The foam still has to form. The 3rd glass still has to be finished. What changes over time is the glassware, the setting, sometimes even the sugar. What stays exactly the same is the gesture itself. A leaf that arrived here almost entirely by accident became one of the most consistent daily habits in the whole country.
Step back far enough from all these small details, and the ritual quietly stops being about the tea at all.
It's really about a stranger being made to feel within minutes of arriving like they already belong at the table.
It's about a small pause built into daily life, 3 unhurried glasses long, that no one is ever allowed to rush.
It's about showing genuine respect with your own hands, not just with words, simply by pouring a little higher. Somewhere in Morocco, right at this very moment, a kettle is quietly being filled for someone who hasn't even arrived yet. The tray is already being carefully set. The mint is already being rinsed. The welcome, as always, comes first. You don't even have to speak the local language to understand exactly what a lifted teapot is quietly saying.
It says, without a single word, sit down, you're staying a while. And that is not a burden, it's genuinely a pleasure.
Most places in the world will happily offer a guest a chair. Far fewer will offer 3 full glasses and real unhurried time. That small, deliberate slowness might honestly be the most generous part of the entire ritual, more than the tea itself. A simple drink brought here almost entirely by chance became a daily living lesson in making complete strangers feel welcome.
And maybe that's the real recipe after all. Not the leaves, not the sugar, but the quiet patience poured on top.
Wherever this curious fox travels next, one small thing has already become clear from this one stop alone. Hospitality doesn't always need grand or expensive gestures. Sometimes it just needs 3 glasses and a little extra height. So the very next time tea is offered to you, anywhere at all in the world, consider staying for all 3 rounds. Because somewhere tonight, someone is still quietly perfecting that pour, one small golden stream at a time.